Welcome to the Money Mentors Podcast.
This podcast is for you, so if you have a retirement question you'd like us to address, reach out to us online anytime at matsonfinancial.com. We know that one of the trickiest parts about retirement planning is not knowing just how long you'll need your money to last, especially these days when retirement can last for decades. Now, USA Today points out if you live to 100 and retire at, say, the typical age for a lot of us at 65, that's a full 35 years you have to fund. And sounds kind of daunting, yet I know you've helped people run the numbers, and you've seen your own grandma do this successfully, live to 100 and still go strong. So how is it possible to, make retirement work for that long?
And Grandma told me the other day, she said, I'm well over 100 now.
Over.
She's counting the days.
Yeah, 10 months over 100, right?
But I think it comes down to three things that I think about is flexibility. Your plan has to be flexible because over those 35 years in this scenario, a lot of life is still going to happen and a lot of changes with your health, with your family dynamic, your family's health, things like that.
The economy, markets, taxes,
things that you absolutely can't control.
Right.
The second thing is your money working as hard as you did for it? And that can mean a lot of different things to different people based on your goals. But you got to make sure, right? I mean, interest rate environment right now specifically, interest rates aren't great for borrowing, but it's really good for your savings accounts and things like that. So are your, assets in your savings accounts in a good position to take advantage of what's happening? And the third thing I think of is diversification. And that should be among your asset type or the portfolio of how it's invested, right? You don't want everything invested in the same types of assets, but also tax qualifications. You don't want to have everything just in your 401k. Now, I'm not to say that if you out there have $1 million in your 401k that there's no plan for you. There absolutely is. But now we need to look at diversifying out of that one tax-deferred strategy. How do we get tax-free dollars in there or taxable dollars in there based on different things that are going to come up?
Yeah, I think to piggyback off of that, something I talk about a lot of times in my first appointments, which is what we do here is obviously the holistic planning approach, but a part of that is going to be running an efficient portfolio. What if we're able to save 1% on fees because we're being more diligent about where we're invested in? What if we get you a 2% better return through more cash flow, right? Dividends or income yields off of your bonds and save you 2% in taxes. If that's a 5% change if you stack all of those things up. And that doesn't always happen, but just as an example,
right, shave off a little here and here and here, and it compounds.
Exactly. If you've got $500,000, that 5% change is $25,000 a year, right? That's a lot of additional compound growth. That's a lot of additional potential income, or at least more flexibility in your income. And when we look at this, I think the stat, I don't remember the exact percentage about what Social Security covers for the typical, household of American, but the simple matter of the fact is that most of your retirement income is on your shoulders, right? Social Security is not going to cover everything.
And nor was it created to be the major source of income.
Correct. And pensions are almost obsolete anymore, right? But there are great tools out there that you can take some of your assets and create your own personalized pension that you're in control of. You create a lifetime stream of guaranteed income that you can never run out of, which then alleviates a lot of the burden off the rest of your portfolio to continue to grow at this rapid rate and having to take on this risk. And then all of a sudden the markets go down and now you're down 20% and now you're changing your lifestyle or worrying about running out of money. So the key to that is, again, diversification, and everybody's plan is different. I've talked to many clients, some who are related, and they say, well, why'd you recommend this for my brother, but not for me? It's like, well, remember, you and your brother,
his goals are not the same as yours.
They are not the same, right? So their ages aren't the same. Health, everything is not the same, right? So it's about building this tailored plan to you, but also being able to be flexible and change because life is going to change.
And you talk specifically about 3 different phases of retirement. And I know we've seen your own grandma go through 2 of these stages, 2 of the 3 in just a decade. But you've got the go-go years, right? The slow go, and then the no-go.
Right.
And 3 very different pieces, both physically, emotionally, and financially. So there's a lot happening here that you, as financial advisors too, guide your clients through.
Yeah, and not only from the financial decision side of things and the logical side, obviously that's what we're here for, but also the emotional and support side of things, because we have plenty of couples that the one spouse ends up caring for the other for a while, and that's hard for them to say, it's not that I can't, but then you see them and it's starting to hurt their health too. Or even just emotionally, it's a lot to handle. And the kids start getting involved to be like, Mom, we're here to help you. And so it's really great to be a part of those family conversations. But at the same time, what can you do to plan to get ahead? I mean, I think about with Grandma, we just talked about it. They were independent living 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. And then she started falling a lot. And she had some, you have to have somebody be in control of her medication that she needs, because Grandpa can't do all of that either. So now you're talking about going into an independent living still, but a facility that costs thousands of dollars a month, and how quickly that can deplete a portfolio if you don't have an investment strategy in place. And that's really a lot of expenses can come into place still in those no-go years that you mentioned, Jennifer, because you're not going anywhere. But healthcare, wealth care costs a lot of money.
Ooh,
so
yes.
you got to have those conversations and a plan in place.
For you two as money mentors, since you meet with people at all stages of life and have these retirement conversations every day, do you worry about living to 100 yourself since you're still fairly young?
I haven't even thought about it.
Worried? No. I obviously have longevity, so
Clearly.
that's something, right?
It's an understatement.
But it's an interesting thing because, right, we have so much with intelligence and development where you think like, oh yeah, we're going to live to be 120, people say. But at the same time, there's a lot of things that are bringing the life expectancy down. We've lost some really great clients this year too. So I think for me, it's just more so of positioning life right now, like taking care of if something were to happen to me today. Mm-hmm. What happens to my kids? What happens to Taylor? And making sure that our plan is set up to take care of all of them, no matter what happens. And I'll look at that every year. I feel like that's my approach.
Yeah. And I would say, for me, it's not necessarily the number, it's the quality of life, right? I want to have a full, meaningful, good quality of life. If it's 100, great. If it's 120, great.
Don't let it be 60 because then I'll be heartbroken and distraught.
But the same thing is, and I would agree with Laurel, my main focus right now is our family and taking care of us, the young kids, and what would happen if they lost mom or dad, or unfortunately mom and dad, right? Like it's not fun to talk about, but it is the reality, and it's things that you've got to talk about and have a plan for.
And it's not fair to them to not have a plan. That's that burden that I take on, is I can have control over some of these things and my wishes, so I need to have that plan in place today.
Want weekly lessons from your money mentors? Yes. Hit the subscribe button now and listen every weekend on Wood Radio.
The opinions expressed in this program are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or on any specific security. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult your financial advisor prior to investing. Any past performance discussed during this program is no guarantee of future results. Fee-based financial planning and investment services are offered by Matson Financial Services, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Insurance products and services offered through Lakeview Financial Group, LLC, Matson Financial Services, LLC, and Lakeview Financial Group are affiliated. To find out if Matson Financial Services is licensed in your state, please call 800-536-8907.